And now, Luke, after that, we come to how good the tournament was overall.
Yes, we do.
I think the first thing we need to talk about, Luke, is the tournament overall. So,
the tournament. By the way, me and Dylan came up with this criteria, which evaluating how good a tournament was from our perspective, or how good a World Cup tournament was. And we came up with 7 things that we can judge a World Cup on. So the World Cup is good if these things happen. See, I want to see if you agree. A big team goes out early on. Obviously, this happened with Germany.
Yep, that's good.
So
I agree.
That's always exciting. A small team goes far. We don't really have a small team, but Croatia are kind of like that, I guess.
Yeah, I think actually, to be honest, my one criticism of this World Cup is actually I don't think that enough small teams. I mean, I kind of want to talk about this actually when I go through, because I want to look at some of the group stage matches. And I think one of the things I did note is that there were a few small teams. I think it would have made the tournament a little better for me if they had gone through. But obviously, you know, there were some kind of moderate teams like Croatia that did, or moderate teams, as you might say, that did go,
that's good.
Did go quite far.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, very far.
Yeah, So Croatia being moderate. So I guess it kind of happened. A small team going far, like England, although they haven't had a lot of success recently. I wouldn't classify them as small. Either. Next up is
I guess Russia
host.
would count if it weren't for the fact that
they're not very likable.
Yes. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, the next up is likable host nation. A bonus if they do well. So in 2014, Brazil. I mean, you can't really say they're likable because they're a contender anyway. They're always trying to win the World Cup. So you have to go back to 2010 in South Africa. But I believe, apart from the Vuvuzelas, they were a very likable host nation, and I wanted South Africa to do well.
Yes.
That's how I felt anyway. 2006 Germany, again a contender. 2002 South Korea.
They're very likable.
Epitome of likable host nations that go far.
Yeah, that defines it.
South Korea got to the semis, and Japan I think got to the round of 16. So both did well, especially South Korea. But obviously in this tournament, Russia not very likable. I think as they would have been if this was any other country, they probably would have been likable. Like if this was fucking, not Qatar. If this was South Africa in 2010, if South Africa got to quarterfinals, this would have been, look at this host nation doing so well. Isn't this a great story? Just a shame that it had to be Russia who did this well.
Damn Russia.
So I don't think it can be a likable host nation. That's not getting a tick.
Yeah.
Next up is England doing well.
Yep. Tick.
And England did do well.
Yep,
semi-finals. Tick. Yep, very good. Next up is an iconic team winning it. So this French team I wouldn't say is iconic.
No.
Because they didn't really play that great football. But they had the potential to be iconic in the future because, like we said before, a lot of young players. Their best player is arguably 19 years old. Well, he is 19 years old, but it's arguably Mbappe is their best player. Maybe if they win in Qatar in 2022, then it is an iconic team, like the Spanish team of like 2010 who'd won the Euros either side of that tournament. And, the Brazil teams of the 1970s, the Dutch teams of the 1970s, and, maybe France can get up there. It's too early to say whether they will be iconic. But certainly if they just win this tournament, that won't be the case.
Yeah.
And then next up, fun. Goals. Was there a lot of goals? For example, in Italia 90, even though that's a tournament a lot of England fans think, that was a great tournament, a lot of great memories. It's actually quite boring. Not a lot of goals were scored. This tournament, I think quite a few goals were scored. 2.6.
Yeah.
4.
That sounds like a lot in my head. I mean...
Yeah. I'll just check compared to the previous tournaments. But I'm guessing you had fun watching this.
I thought there were very few. There were a handful. The thing is with me, the only criticism I have is that it was so much fun that the few boring games felt really boring. I think there was one that was it had Denmark in it, and it was
was it France-Denmark?
Yeah, France-Denmark was so boring. It was the most boring thing I ever watched in my life.
I watched that. It was so bad. It's just both teams were happy with the draw.
Yeah, oh goodness.
I was just that was another game that made me feel bad about France. How is this team gonna fucking win when they play like this against Denmark?
Yeah.
I'm just looking actually. They 2014 had slightly higher goals, but maybe that was because of the 7-1 win for Germany. Both 2010 and 2006 had less goals than 2018. And I'll just check 2002, and I won't go any further. 2002 also had less goals than 2018. So, a lot of goals scored at this World Cup, and that's what made it so exciting. And the last bit of criteria is final. Was it a good final? And as we've discussed,
Yep.
yes,
good
the final was very good. Best final in 50 years. So yeah, I think Russia 2018, out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bits of criteria, I think it ticked 5.5.
Yes,
5.5. So good, very good tournament. Very good tournament. What do you think about it?
I agree with everything you just said. Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much. There are a few things we need to talk about. Actually, just a few things. We haven't spoken about VAR yet, by the way.
No, yeah. Do you want to talk about it now? Or?
I might do my every single match thing now. Very quickly.
Go for it. Let's do that.
So, First of all, first match. Russia played Saudi Arabia. They won 5-0. Now, first of all, one of the things I like to do before the World Cup is I look at every single group and I decide who I want to go through. And I have a bit of an...
But you want to go through, who do you think?
I always decide who I want to go through so that I can maximise my disappointment. And in this one, I said I have a bit of an affinity for Muslim countries because they tend not to do very well, is the only reason. And I wanted Egypt and Saudi Arabia to get through, but I compromised afterwards by saying Egypt and Russia because I was like, Egypt, they've got Mo Salah.
Why do you want Muslim countries?
It's just because they don't do that well usually. But
neither do like African countries.
No, I also wanted African countries to go well, so yeah.
Right.
Also, Egypt are an African country.
But you know what I mean.
It was really good. Just as a side note, no one's going to care. But maybe I'll put it. Maybe if people are watching this, I'm going to slice it in as a video right now. The fourth goal in this match was really good.
Cheryshev's goal.
Yeah, wow, you got an encyclopedic knowledge. Yes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Egypt versus Uruguay. Uruguay won 1-0. So suddenly I'm feeling like... and also I wrote down, this is my criticism, Latin American teams always get last-minute goals against Muslim teams. Like, I noticed this with the Iran-Argentina game in 2014. Like, for some reason, Muslim games, they put up really good fights, Muslim teams put up really good fights against Latin American teams. Latin American teams always get that last-minute win.
It happened with Colombia-England as well.
Morocco-Iran, this was the start of, as you know, Iran is my pet team. We just mentioned them, and they beat Morocco 1-0. Obviously, that was seeing as that...
I remember that game. Morocco definitely did not deserve to lose that game. They were the better team.
Yeah.
They got robbed.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, I like Iran for some reason. Anyway. And then, not that much interest. I wanted Iran and Spain to go through because I was just like, that time I felt like just being like, okay, there's no way that Iran and Morocco are going through in a group with Spain and Portugal. I've got to be slightly realistic. Then
they almost did, actually. If Iran, they'll get onto that, obviously, but yeah, they almost did.
Portugal versus Spain. 3-3.
What a game.
3-3. Really good game. Ronaldo scored those goals. Great.
Do you remember, actually, before Ronaldo scored the free kick, maybe you don't, Danny Murphy, the commentator, said, I don't think he can get the ball over this wall. And he proceeded to do that and score.
Yeah, I know.
It's just a wonderful moment.
Yeah, I love it when stupid commentators are wrong. France. Australia. Pretty uninteresting. Although there was actually a penalty shout. One of the things I found interesting about this one, I said I watched them all. This one I listened to on the radio on the way up to my grandparents. Also, I should mention this was during the world famous 4 World Cup matches in one day. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, that's
with great. 4 matches, insane. And it was really convenient because I was just up at my grandparents, so I could kind of just sit around.
Yeah, when you got nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And also my cousin, like my young cousin was there and he really likes football, so it was pretty good.
That's nice.
Anyway, and yeah, so I didn't actually see the penalty shout, but I looked at it and I would say that it probably was a penalty. I guess you probably don't remember it. I don't know.
What the Griezmann one?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. A lot of people, actually, that was just, yeah. Sorry, I'm just reminding myself, but like for some reason, like loads of people think, like it was obviously a penalty now I think about it, because it was like I don't really know why people think it wasn't a penalty.
No, okay, the reason why people didn't think it was a penalty, because they're stupid, but the reason why they didn't is because the Australian player kicked the ball. And we're like, oh, you got the ball, it's a penalty. But the thing is, like, after the Australian player kicked the ball, Griezmann then touched it
again
afterwards, going forward. And so then the Australian player brought him down. So it's a penalty because it doesn't matter that the Australian player kicked it before, it's irrelevant. Griezmann touched the ball, the Australian player didn't touch it. After that, Griezmann was going towards goal, and then he got fouled.
Okay, thank you for explaining the incorrect reasoning of... I'm glad I knew that, because I was really confused. I was watching the replay and I was like...
Yeah. It's a penalty. Pundits on TV would fucking like, oh, I don't think that's a penalty. It's like, are you serious? You're actually paid to fucking give these, like, or give these insights. And you can't even tell that that's a clear penalty. Like, there's so much debate around it. It's like, I didn't understand sometimes. Like, people can clearly see something right in front of them, and it's a penalty. It's not hard to work out that it is, and they're still like, well, I don't know, I think it's not a penalty. Maybe it was just they were just using it as an excuse to bash VAR,
Yeah.
which I think was sometimes the
Everyone
case.
likes to get about VAR. Then we got
Yeah.
Argentina, Iceland. So I was quite excited for Iceland at this point. They saved a penalty, I think, which
Yes,
is exciting.
Messi.
Oh yeah, Messi's miss. That was it. Yeah, was it a save or a miss? I've forgotten.
It was saved.
Okay, yeah,
so
good. And
keeper was the film director. Or something.
and it was really I was kind of hyped because Iceland is my other team that, well, I think a lot of people are quite fond of Iceland. It was quite exciting to see them get, a 1-1 draw against Argentina. Pretty exciting.
Ultimate underdog.
Peru versus Denmark. I kind of thought that this was a relatively uninteresting match, apart from I really like Schmeichel as a goalkeeper, just because he's good.
Do you remember Peru missed a penalty?
I wrote Guys skied the penalty.
That was just Peru were the better team than Denmark, and fucking Denmark just managed to banter a 1-0 win.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Peru, they scored that, they go through, they're in the last 16. The thing is, apparently before the tournament, I don't know if you knew this, but there was the most fans from one country, apart from Russia, were from Peru. The Peruvians took so many people because it's the first World Cup since 1982 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Did you know that?
Well, I knew there were a lot of fans there. There was another group actually where there were loads of. I feel like there was another South American side where there were an inordinate number of fans there for that side. But I don't think it was Peru. But yeah,
there were a load of South American fans there.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, the European fans got scared off by all the Putin's propaganda. Some of it is valid, but some of it isn't.
Yeah. So, well, I feel like South Americans, they're used to corruption.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this country of Russia is actually safer and less corrupt than ours.
Exactly, yeah. So they just showed up like it was nothing. And then Croatia, Nigeria. Didn't care too much about that. Although one thing I did remember about this is that this is our first example of a penalty being given for a player having their arms around another player. And I think we saw a lot of this in this World Cup. I've noticed a lot of it. A lot of players were having their arms around other players, and there was a penalty given here, but a lot of the time there weren't penalties given, which was kind of annoying. Costa Rica versus Serbia. Two interesting facts about this. Actually, it was a really good free kick, which I don't know if you remember.
Yes, I do. And it was Kolarov.
Yes, and then I wanted Costa Rica to win because I still haven't forgiven Serbia for their genocide. I'll never forgive. I'll never forget.
No, and you shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is that, as you know, for some reason, for a variety of complicated reasons, I always seem to end up watching football matches slightly out of sync. And this was the first time that I had a kind of brain hemorrhage and ended up just Googling. I think I was like, oh yeah, I wonder where they are in the group. And I Googled it, and then obviously I saw the result, and I was like, oh crap. And that was about 50 minutes in, so I already knew the result. And I was kind of watching it because I was like, well, I'm down here, might as well sit here. But it wasn't very exciting because I already knew what the result would be. Very disappointing. Yeah. Germany versus Mexico. So nothing. Well, it was a good match, but
it was a good match.
So actually, I don't know if I'm saying all the results actually. So sorry, Serbia beat Costa Rica 1-0. I don't know if I even said that Croatia beat Nigeria 2-0. But yeah,
well, we mentioned it before, didn't we?
Yeah, Mexico beat Germany 1-0.
That was a great game. Yeah.
Brazil played Switzerland 1-1. Also quite a good game.
Yeah, it was quite a good game.
So enjoyed that. And then Sweden played South Korea, and that was again 1-0. Which
this was shit. If you told me that Sweden were going to make the quarterfinals after that game,
yes, I was going to say I wrote down because Sweden, their only goal was from a penalty.
Yeah, and they were awful. Both teams are absolutely awful.
Yes, but do you want to hear the fact? I guess maybe you heard this fact in the commentary. South Korea have won 5 games in the World Cup, or had won 5 games in the World Cup out of a total of 31, I think. And that was before obviously, at the beginning, this was at the beginning of the World Cup, obviously those statistics changed by the end of the World Cup.
Yes.
Then, of course, we had Belgium versus Panama. Belgium won 3-0.
3-0. Goals from Mertens, Lukaku, and who got the last one? Was it Hazard?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I could find out, but I don't want to lose my place. So I'm going to trust you on the goal thing. Tunisia versus England. Really exciting thing here. If I remember correctly, it was a last-minute goal.
Yes,
Yes,
90 plus
which
1.
again-
I'm looking at the Wikipedia thing
Okay,
now, but I
that's-
realise I can actually do that.
that is
Lukaku
useful.
scored twice, by the way.
Okay, good. Now we can be double checking all our facts.
Yes.
So, what again? Like, I kind of have this idea in my head. Like, I guess probably a lot of people have this feeling. It always seems to me like last minute goals never go my way. So it's like if there's a last minute goal, it's always against what I want. Whereas
It's not the case for Man United fans.
yeah. I'm sure Man United has scored a few last minute goals against Arsenal.
Oh, yes, we have.
Yes. So I guess maybe I feel like it's actually quite a common thing for Arsenal. Maybe so. Maybe that's why I feel like it. It's always like I never expect last minute goals to go my way, but it did.
Well, things just go wrong for Arsenal, regardless.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
of course, last minute goals would go.
Yes, exactly. Colombia versus Japan. It was 2-1 to Japan. They had a bit of an advantage because the Colombian got a red card, so they were only playing against 10 men. But apart from that, I don't think anything.
Lucky he wasn't shot for that. That was a joke.
Yes. Very, very funny. Poland versus Senegal. Main interesting thing here was that one of the goals was a huge cock-up.
Yeah, it was such a weird goal. So the Polish central midfielder, basically, because Niang who scored it was off the pitch because he'd been receiving treatment for injury. So the Polish central midfielder, I think it was Krajcic, I can't fucking say it, but basically he was going to pass the ball back to his keeper, and he didn't see Niang run back onto the pitch because the referee had given him the all clear to return from injury. So Niang's now one-on-one with the keeper, takes it past him and scores. It's like such a weird goal.
Yeah.
And unlucky, but I think
I do think actually one thing that makes any World Cup or any tournament more interesting is a decent few just cock-ups. Like cock-ups do make the game more entertaining. And that was 2-1 to Senegal. Also, by the way, I've actually stopped listing all the teams I wanted to win. You can probably just imagine it because I've just said that I like African teams and Muslim teams. My general rule is I like the underdog, and I wanted Senegal to win that.
And Iceland.
I don't like Poland because, they're racist.
Wow. What do you think of Australia?
G'day, mate. I mean, they're allowed to be racist because their country's pretty great. You can't blame them for wanting to keep people out of it.
That's great. All right, next up.
We're now a quarter of the way through. Russia and Egypt. Russia won 3-1. I think. Am I right in saying Mo Salah scored from the penalty spot?
He did.
Yes,
he did.
And Mo Salah was quite disappointing. I guess, was he injured?
He was injured. He didn't play the first game. He also visited the Chechnyan leader on like a PR sort of thing.
Oh, because Muslim.
Egypt forced him to do so.
Because Chechnya is Muslim.
Well, I mean, maybe that's probably the reason. But I'm just saying he was forced to do that.
Yeah.
So I just think it's not a good World Cup for Mo Salah, basically. Even though he did get 2 goals.
Yeah. It's just a bit disappointing from him. And Portugal beat Morocco 1-0. And the only thing that I found interesting was that Morocco goalkeeper had a really tough time, but he only conceded 1 goal. So well on him.
Ronaldo. Actually, in that game, Morocco were actually the better team.
Yeah.
Than Portugal.
You know what? Actually, see, that's the thing. I was watching this and I was thinking, because I think I was thinking to myself like, oh wow, Iran beat Morocco. Morocco is doing a really good job at Portugal. And I was thinking, Iran could go on to win this. That's sort of not win the tournament, but qualify to the next stage. I just want to see it happen once. And then Uruguay played Saudi Arabia. They won 1-0.
Great game.
And then Iran versus Spain. Okay, so I think again this is like the thing about Iran and me. This is why I like Iran, because they always seem to come so close. And I honestly thought they were doing they had the equalizer that was offside. They were doing like a pretty good job. I wouldn't necessarily say they were the better side, but I would say they were kind of like a good example of the side that isn't necessarily the best side, but were doing a good job of kind of scrambling to get something out of it.
I agree. Yeah. So this game, I just want to talk about this game for a bit. If that's okay. This is the kind of game in which I can understand a team defending, putting 10 men behind the ball like Iran did, but I just hate when big teams do it because it's just a waste of talent and they shouldn't be successful, but they are. But the thing is with Iran, that in that game they were so close to getting something from Spain.
Yeah.
And they were really likeable in that game in the way they tried so hard. And when they scored that equaliser, it was an incredible moment.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of the Argentina game that they had, which I still remember. Yeah, there is something about the way. Also, I guess we should mention Iran had really loads of trouble training because of sanctions, which is another thing that kind of made them.
They weren't allowed the fucking boots from Nike, I believe. American companies weren't allowed to do business with Iran. Kind of like how the Mexican defender Rafael Marquez wasn't allowed to be photographed with any sponsorship stuff because he had links to a cartel in Mexico. And so if a company was photographed with Marquez or whatever having sponsorship on it or something like that, then they could be sanctioned or fined by the US government, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't actually know about that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just like
actually, just like Sicario. By the way, in the Iran game, we have to mention the highlight of the World Cup possibly was in that game.
The throwing, right?
The throwing, yes, incredible.
Yeah, I meant to mention that. Yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah, I'm never gonna forget that. I don't. Never ever gonna forget.
It was, that was classic Iran. Just love them. Anyway, so then Group C, Denmark versus Australia, 1-1. I don't think anything interesting happened. There was a penalty for a handball.
Yeah, I remember watching.
I thought it was
game.
harsh.
I can't remember.
Okay, yeah. I remember thinking it was harsh, but I don't have a photographic memory of what it looked like in my head. And then France beat Peru 1-0, which is not particularly interesting nor surprising.
Mbappe first
goal.
Oh,
yeah, that was it, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, that's the only...
That's a good thing.
There we go, you've got... Oh, this one's a big one. Argentina beat Croatia 3-0. Sorry.
Lost to Croatia.
Yeah, sorry. So there was...
that was a great game.
Another goalkeeping cock-up.
Caballero,
yeah.
Who Dylan actually really liked because he's Chelsea's backup keeper, and Dylan likes these weird Chelsea players that aren't actually that good because he's weird like that. And Caballero was one of them, and it was just so lovely to see him cock up.
Yeah.
Just say to them, see, that's the keeper who you think should start for Chelsea.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of it.
And also a really good goal from Modric. It kind of went like
yes,
right by the corner, by the post. Just a.
He scored a goal like that against Man United in the Champions League once.
A handsome goal.
Handsome goals.
Brazil, Costa Rica, again, not surprising. Brazil won 2-0. Interesting fact.
Both goals in the 90th minute.
Interesting fact about... Oh, yeah, 2 last-minute goals. Interesting fact about Costa Rica. Their constitution prohibits their government from having a standing army.
Wow.
So good thing they've never been invaded.
Yeah. Lucky them.
Yeah, well done. Must be nice. Arseholes. What are the other... Okay, Nigeria, Iceland. Oh, this one was when it was getting a bit disappointing, because I was thinking, okay, Nigeria, Iceland should be wanting to beat Nigeria if they're going to be winning everyone's hearts. And of course they didn't. They lost 2-0.
I just want to say for this game, I saw the updates on the BBC Sport because I wasn't actually watching the game, and somebody texted in to BBC Sport with perhaps the most Brexit means Brexit like text ever. It was kind of like, best game of the World Cup so far between Nigeria and Iceland. No egos, no divas, just two hard-working lads, a bunch of lads going out there giving the best for their country. Love it. And it was just like, mate, it's not the best game. I watched the highlights, and it did not appear that these two teams were that good at football.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, credit to that person for acknowledging that black people can be hardworking.
Yes, I guess.
Other thing...
I don't think that's a stereotype in England, though.
Serbia versus Switzerland. Again, this is good because, of course, many of the Swiss players are Albanian, right?
They are Albanian Kosovan.
Okay, see, that's the thing. I was thinking that because Kosovan, of course... Serbia, Kosovo.
Yeah.
Exciting. Also,
stuff,
Xhaka scored a good goal. Of course, he plays for Arsenal.
Shaqiri scored in the 90th minute, and now plays for Liverpool. They had that celebration which pissed off a lot of Serbians, and Lichtsteiner, who also now plays for Arsenal, actually. The Swiss right back joined in, even though he has no relations to or ties to Kosovo, which is fun.
Yeah, and something that I remember thinking about, which is something that is relevant to a lot of matches, was the idea. I think there was a period where Serbia were dominating quite a bit, but they couldn't capitalise. And something I kind of was more conscious of during this World Cup is teams failing to capitalise. I think I mentioned that already in this podcast, actually, teams failing to capitalise when they're dominating. And that's something that I think I saw England did it a few times. And I don't know, it's very frustrating, I guess, because it's like you're watching a team doing really well, and it's like you want to be like, oh, wow, they're doing really well, so they're probably going to win. But then, the tide can change.
Goals change games.
Belgium versus Tunisia, 5-2. Sorry, or 5-2 to Belgium.
Yeah, that was a great game. The thing is, Tunisia completely changed their approach from the England game. They went like all out attack because they needed to beat Belgium. And like Batshuayi, who only scored 1 goal for Belgium, could have had like 5. He literally could have. He had like 5 chances, only got 1. But yeah, that was just a really fun game.
I'll tell you what was fun about this game. It was one of those games where every single time I looked away for like a second, a goal got scored. I was like, I was at a kind of club place, actually, not like a club, but like a, for complicated reasons I won't explain, I was at like a kind of sports club place when I was watching this, and every single time I'd like walk away to, get a drink or something, goal. And then South Korea, Mexico. South Korea lost 1-2, 2-1, let's try it again, 2-1 to Mexico. And of course I was thinking in my head though, Luke, this is what I thought. I thought, I'd like South Korea to win, because they are an underdog. And I was thinking, you know what? If Mexico beat Sweden, and Germany beat Sweden, and South Korea beat Germany, then South Korea would go through. But that is impossible. That would never happen, would it, Luke?
No, it wouldn't.
Now, next thing that happened, of course, was Germany versus Sweden. We've already said stuff about this, and it kind of bears repeating. Germany...
People forget...
2-1. Sorry, yeah?
Yeah. People forget that Sweden should have had a penalty. Or arguably should have had a penalty. Obviously, it wasn't given.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
when
the foul.
When it was 0-0. And obviously, if they scored again on the counter, which is likely because Germany still would have been pressing them, they could have been 2-0 up, and Germany could have been out on that match. But luckily, Germany came back.
I really have no idea why that penalty wasn't given.
It's just tangle of like the ref obviously thought there wasn't enough to give it.
Yeah,
wasn't enough.
I guess it was kind of like one of those in from the side, a bit kind of more upper body than ankle-y. I feel like that you can often get away with it if it's like. It wasn't upper body, it was kind of like he hit him with his thigh, if I remember correctly, and it was like, so it wasn't like he tripped him at the ankle, and I think you can kind of get away with that more often.
Yes.
And obviously, incredible penalty, free kick, and of course, it meant that it was suddenly, well, no, not really very possible at all that South Korea could go through, but, because they'd have to beat Germany, Luke. But, I was like, oh, that's interesting, pretty exciting. And then, of course, we get back, England 6, Panama 1.
This was an incredible game. Not because we've smashed a small team, because it was the World Cup and it was so easy and we just kept scoring. And like it was at half time. Remember, the game kicked off at 1 p.m. UK time. So it was like just, a normal Sunday afternoon and England were just winning 5-0 in the World Cup.
Yeah.
This is a weird feeling because you're meant to be nervous and meant to be like just fearful of England whenever they play in a World Cup, but it was just so relaxed. It's like we're fucking smashing these guys 5-0. This is it was so unlike England.
But well done, Panama, for scoring their first World Cup goal. Let's not forget that.
If you remember, Michael, in the 2006 World Cup, England also played a small nation from Central America / Caribbean, which was Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
In the group stage, and we only won that game 2-0, and I believe it was like first goal was from like Peter Crouch in the 78th minute. And so, like, we just struggled to get past fucking Trinidad and Tobago, who were probably at the same level as Panama back in the day. And so I was expecting, like, a similar sort of game.
Yeah.
We'd win eventually, but it wouldn't be...
Yeah, I wasn't expecting these.
Incredible.
Also, fun fact...
Harry Kane hat-trick.
We almost missed that game. Well, we arrived late to that game because my dad doesn't know how to drive. No, basically, we were coming back from Nottingham, which is why I was in the club place that I was in. And
you lead an interesting life.
I do live a vaguely interesting life. I feel like I live a life where somehow everything that's even slightly interesting happens at a moment where I can bring it up to other people. So we're going down, and my dad, for some reason, he hates taking the motorway, even though the motorway is like, especially like, I mean, it's the M1. I know you don't really appreciate the M1 because you live over in the west of the country.
Yeah.
But the M1 is just like, if you mostly do everything that you do between London and Leeds, then the M1 is like an incredible place where everything just gets achieved really quickly. But my dad, what he does is he thinks like if there's a 2-minute delay on the M1, he'll be like, oh look, it's filled with traffic, the M1's rubbish. The problem is what he'll then do is go off onto a country road where he's driving at like 20 miles an hour because we're stuck behind a tractor. And long story short, basically we pull off of the M1 because that's like, oh, there might be a delay, and then we'll miss the beginning of the football because there'll be a delay. And literally we pull off and a fucking house pulls in front of us. There is a lorry that is actually transporting a house.
That's
hilarious. It takes up like it's a country road, but it takes up like 2 lanes. So even the people like coming the other way are having to like kind of go up onto the embankment to get past it. And yeah, let's just say that. And then also we're driving back through Northamptonshire, and one of the roads is blocked off, and then we go to a different road and that's blocked off. So, but like I say, it doesn't matter because we have recorded. Japan v Senegal 2-2. This is
a fun game.
Yeah, it was a fun game, and also I kind of like didn't mind who won, which sometimes makes it more interesting and sometimes makes it less interesting. But in this case, I was like, yeah, I can get behind this. Poland v Colombia, 3-0 to Colombia.
This was when I got scared of Colombia. This was when I was like, because remember before then it was like, because Germany probably weren't going to get through, and it was all about, okay, who are we going to face in the quarters? Because whoever we face in the round 16, they're probably going to be at the same level.
Yeah.
Because all the teams in Group H were around as good as each other. But then Colombia beat Poland 3-0. Like, oh shit, maybe we have to avoid Colombia because they are actually looking good. Because even though they lost to Japan 2-1 in the first game, they did get a red card. So that could explain why they weren't that good.
Yes.
So yeah, that's when I got scared of Colombia.
Now we enter, to be honest, Luke, the match day 3 of 3 was quite a disappointing time for me.
Why is
because,
that?
okay, so I'll put it this way. A lot of these matches didn't really affect anything. For example, Saudi Arabia versus Egypt, they were both going out. Fun fact, I wanted Egypt to go through. They couldn't even beat Saudi Arabia. Mo Salah got a goal, but yeah, they lost 2-1.
And the Swari in the 90 plus 5 minutes.
Yes.
What a lad.
Uruguay versus Russia, again, they were both going through. Russia got a red card. But yeah, Uruguay won 3-0. So I'm kind of going through these quite quickly because like a lot of them don't matter as much. So I kind of wasn't paying. Okay, this one's interesting. So Iran versus Portugal, 1-1. Spain versus Morocco, 2-2. If Iran would have scored, they'd have got through.
Yeah. Thing is, though, we'll talk about VAR later, but we need to
talk. Yeah, sorry, yeah, that's something I should mention. This match had horrible refereeing.
Yeah, the penalty that Iran got was fucking...
You know what, I messaged you after this match, and I said, like, I think the message, I said, I might actually even try to find it, because I'm curious. I'll do it while I'm kind of like, next time you talk about something for a while. And then Spain versus Morocco, obviously these matches were concurrent. I watched the Iran versus Portugal match, the Spain-Morocco match, so I didn't really see it, but it was 2-2. So, I don't know, did you watch that?
I didn't watch it, I saw the highlights. The irony about this one is that there was a correct VAR decision that was given with Aspas scoring a goal which actually wasn't offside, that was originally given off offside, so it made it, instead of 2-1 Morocco, 2-2. Morocco still would have gone out, so it didn't make a difference. But yeah, after the game, I think it was Amrabat, like the Moroccan player, he said VAR bullshit to the camera, which was funny. And a lot of people were like, yeah, this guy gets it, even though the decision that he was talking about was one that actually was incorrect and correctly overturned by VAR. But whatever.
Hey, I found the comment. I said, shocking refereeing, largely in favour of Iran, and they still couldn't win. And you said, yeah, lol, never a pen. That's the one decision that has been made by VAR that was wrong in this tournament.
Yes, and I stand by that.
What do you think? Even since then?
Oh, since then? Oh, well,
to be honest, I couldn't immediately just remember every decision made by VAR. Anyway.
Yeah. So next up, we have France, Australia.
France, Australia, or Australia, Peru.
Oh, no, sorry. Australia, Peru, / Denmark, France. So yeah, that's what we have next.
Australia lost to Peru 2-0, so Australia not very good. Bad. And then the most boring game in the world, Denmark, France.
The worst
0-0.
game of the World Cup.
It was.
Without a doubt.
It's quite an easy choice.
Thing is, sorry, Michael, I was just going to say, Denmark had a chance to win the group, and obviously they might have played Argentina in the last round of 16, so maybe they did want to win the group and wanted to play Croatia, because they thought Croatia would be easier. But, still, you got a chance to win the group, because Peru were winning against Australia 2-0, so Australia didn't have a chance. They would need to score 3 goals in, the last 20 minutes. And this is what the commentators were saying 20 minutes ago. Why don't Denmark just go for it and try to score? They win, they're top of the group. And Australia aren't going to score 3 goals in 20 minutes. This is a great chance for Denmark to go and top of the group, beat France. What an amazing achievement that would be. But they just stayed back and it was fucking shit.
Do you know what it's like, Luke? It's like in Pointless. The TV show Pointless.
Yes.
When somebody's reached a point where they're out no matter what, Alexander Armstrong will say, seeing as you're out no matter what, you might as well try and go for a pointless answer, even if it's just a complete punt. And sometimes people will just go for answers that they're more confident in, even though it doesn't matter because they've lost automatically anyway. So they might as well have gone for the ones they didn't know. But anyway,
maybe they don't want to give the 250 quid to their competitors.
Yeah, dickheads.
and they're not coming back the next day. They've had their 2 goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nigeria. Okay, so double match again. Nigeria versus Argentina and Iceland versus Croatia. This again was a really frustrating match because what we wanted to happen, of course, was for Croatia and Iceland to go through, or Croatia and
Well, I didn't want that.
or
I wanted Argentina to go through.
Croatia and Nigeria to go through. The one thing we didn't want to happen was Argentina to go through because we hate them. And
Rojo scored the winning goal. Marcus Rojo, Man United player, fucking right foot volley. I was so surprised when it was Rojo who scored because he's just not a very good player technically.
yeah, but
And it was a lovely goal.
see, the thing is, okay, here's the thing. All Iceland needed to do was draw, and they would have gone through. And the thing is, Iceland, if Iceland got through, that would have been your small team getting quite far. So, it would have been nice. I think it would have been nice. Basically, my 3 teams, I think it would have been nice if they got through at this stage were Iran, Iceland, or South Korea. And all of those teams, as we'll find out, had a reasonable chance of getting through, and yet none of them did. And that's the sense in which I did find it kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But next up is Mexico versus Sweden. Okay, this is the exciting one. So, in order for South Korea to get through, South Korea had to beat Germany, and Mexico had to beat Sweden. Now, Luke, which one of those things would you say is the least likely to happen?
What actually happened?
Yes.
South
Korea beat Germany 2-0 last minute, which did make me really happy, but it's very frustrating because, it shouldn't have been unlikely for Mexico to beat Sweden. Shouldn't have been unlikely at all. They, in fact, lost 3-0 to Sweden.
Yes.
Yeah, if Mexico would have beaten Sweden, South Korea would have gone through. And the other thing is, that would have made, and the thing is, because that fantastic Germany free kick, will kind of be forgotten. But if South Korea would have got through, I think that Germany free kick would have become just a little more iconic.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
yeah,
I was very I was really happy that South Korea did beat Germany because I thought that's exciting, but very disappointed that they didn't actually go through. I think
it was great for them anyway. Though they celebrated like they had got through. Being the world champions must have been an incredible feeling for the South Korea.
It was good. Good match though. Anyway, Switzerland, Costa Rica drew 2-2.
It's actually a fun game.
Yeah, it was. And
I wasn't watching it. I was Dylan had his tablet and we had the main TV watching it on the tablet, and every so often especially in the last few minutes, we just looked over and Switzerland scored and then Costa Rica scored. It was fun.
And I liked Costa Rica. Like I say, Costa Rica is one of my little pet teams I adopted as wanting to win. Then Serbia versus Brazil. Not surprising, Brazil won 2-0.
Comfortable.
Yes. This one I don't think I found this one that interesting, although I wanted Japan to go through. So Senegal, in fact, actually I wanted either Senegal or Japan to go through. So it was obviously Japan did. I don't know why I said as if Japan wasn't going through. Yeah, Japan got through. But I wanted Senegal to go through. And obviously Senegal versus Colombia. Colombia won 1-0. Japan versus Poland. Poland won 1-0. So Senegal.
So in this game, my feelings were, okay, if Colombia come second in the group, that means that England, if they win the group, would have to face Colombia, Brazil, France, and then whoever else gets to the final. But so I was just desperate for Colombia not to come second.
Yeah.
And win the group, because then if we did actually win the group, which was obviously a possibility, then we would have such a hard road to the semi-final and the final, compared to if we came second, Colombia win the group, we come second, it's fine because we're still in the easy half and we can't get past Colombia. Yeah. So I was just so desperate for Colombia not to come second, because then I knew that we'd come first and I thought at the time we had a great chance to make it to the semi-finals and possibly the final. Obviously we did actually make it to the semi-finals, so I was right to think this way. And so I'm just very, very glad that Colombia managed to win the group, because even though we finished second, if we had finished first in our group, then we wouldn't have got to the semi-finals.
One extra point by the way. Senegal, one thing I really liked is that it cut to their fans, and their fans just looked I think their fans made them really likable, because their fans were very they were very vibrant, dancing around, and that was nice.
Senegal could be the most likable team at this World Cup.
I think
especially they had the only black manager actually at the World Cup.
And he was also the youngest.
Yes, and you could see before the games they were dancing and singing on the pitch. I saw a couple of those videos. Really likeable team, Senegal. Yes. It's a shame that they didn't get to the runs.
Because they didn't get through, they were the no sub-Saharan African team got through. And
Yes,
then
the only one.
Then in Group G, England versus Belgium.
Oh, by the way, Michael, we didn't mention actually that Senegal got knocked out because of the fair play rule.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, that's important. That was
Forgot to mention
historic.
that.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Good job.
it was introduced for this tournament, and this was the first time a team had ever been knocked out, because obviously the first tournament introduced on the fair play rule. So Japan, Senegal, same points, same goals scored, same goals conceded, obviously same goal difference. The only thing that separated them was Japan had 2 less yellow cards than Senegal.
Yes.
And that is it. And so very harsh on Senegal, but I think obviously what the alternative is to do like a just draw lots or coin flip, which would have been like less, well, it would have been 50-50, but I do like the fact that you can judge who goes through on the pitch rather than just it being a random coin flip.
Yeah, remember that time when Bernie lost because he didn't win enough coin flips? Classic.
Yeah. Maybe they should do it like shots on target instead of yellow cards.
Oh, no, actually, that might not be a bad way. You know, you were complaining about kind of like how the teams are getting too defensive. If they did it by shots on target, that would actually not be a bad shout.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think it'd affect much, but it still put the attacking teams through, which is what you want to see.
And finally, England versus Belgium and Panama versus Tunisia. Panama versus Tunisia we don't care about. I didn't watch it. I assume you didn't either, or maybe you watched highlights.
Yeah, I just saw the highlights.
2-1 to Tunisia.
Very nice goal for Tunisia's second goal by Naby Khazri. Very nice.
Okay, maybe I'll actually bother to edit it in. Maybe I will. I don't know how I feel. Anyway, England versus Belgium. I mean, obviously this one. So there's 2 things here. Number one, it gave us a much easier road.
Yes.
Having said that, we did not beat a team better than Croatia. It does present us with the fact that England failed to, and again, we did play a bad team and it did work to our advantage that we didn't win, but it still doesn't change the fact that this is the first example of the problem that England only beat some pretty average teams.
The thing is, you say it's a problem, and I say, well, you know what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We got to the semis.
I know.
Who cares if you didn't beat a good team? It's not about who you beat, it's how far you get.
I'm just being a Ramona.
Football. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
no, it's fine.
I get what you're saying, but I'm like, teams have got to the semi-finals before really easily. Like, was this tweet from like some fucking Irish or Scottish person who was like, "Oh, this is the easiest route to the semi-final in World Cup history," and I was like, "It's blatantly not." Like Germany in 2002, Italy in 2006.
Yeah.
Like,
sometimes
teams get lucky. Yeah, sometimes teams get lucky, and this year England got lucky. So let's fucking grab that opportunity and make sure we get through to the semis, which we did. So yeah, no complaint. I don't care that we didn't play. Like we weren't that good anyway. I knew that. It's fine. We got to the semis.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
I agree. Well, that would have been nice if we won without being very good.
Oh yeah, that would have been great. I mean, it's tournament football. Who cares if you're
that's true.
very good?
Anyway, so then we get to the round of 16, and we're 3/4 of the way through every single match. I mean,
by the way, I just want to say England-Belgium, one of the weirdest games I've ever seen because I wanted us to lose.
Yeah, that was a weird game.
And there was the yellow card situation that everybody was keeping track of who had the most yellows.
Side note, Luke, this is going to have to be 2 parts. And
this is definitely
second thing. It's taken us like quite a while just to kind of like literally say a few words about each match, and it's kind of mind blowing to think we watched pretty much every single one, or at least I watched every single one, and you know.
This is why I said don't do it. Cause well, I didn't say don't do it. I was surprised you wanted to do it because I knew it was going to take a while. Anyway, you just got a quarter left.
I had faith. Okay, so France v Argentina. I'll tell you what. So the good thing is,
game of the tournament.
I wanted France to win. You think game of the tournament? I think 4-3. Very exciting.
Yeah. 4-3 game of the tournament.
What was your highlight of this game of the tournament?
The highlight was, I think, the Pavard strike, which was absolutely incredible. Like the spin on the ball. I know when you hit a ball like that, I haven't hit many balls like that in my life, but when you hit a ball so well, it's just the best feeling ever. When you catch it just right and it flies in. Oh, it's wonderful, Michael. I know you don't play football that much, but I know, like, it's just when you catch it so sweetly and it goes in. And Benjamin Pavard must have experienced that. And that was a crucial goal because it made it 2-2. It wasn't just, a cherry on top. It was a crucial equaliser. And obviously, scoring for your country with a goal like that, what an incredible feeling for Benjamin Pavard. Mbappe scoring 2 goals literally in the space of 4 minutes. That was great as well. To put France back on top. Just showing his talent.
The Pavard goal, I remember the Pavard goal was one of those ones where you just like kind of shout because you're just like shocked by it. It was literally like a rocket.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I also, by the way, sorry, I was just going to say I liked the Argentina's first goal. Just
yes.
counter.
I was going to bring that up, Michael, actually. just as you were. I was talking about shocking goals. That was a shocker because that came out of nothing. That was Argentina's first shot on target, I believe. And Di Maria just strikes it from like 35 yards out. And after that, you can see in Di Maria in the second half, he had a lot of confidence. He was like taking on plays now. Amazing what a goal can do, especially a great goal. But yeah, game of the tournament, France 4, Argentina 3. I did not expect this before. Like, whenever France play in this tournament, I expect like a 1-0 victory for them or 1-1 and go to penalties. So yeah, I'm very pleased. That was the first match of the round of 16.
Like I said, I really enjoyed the round of 16 actually.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, the next game was Uruguay 2, Portugal 1. And that was also, again, the result that I wanted. And I think it was I think it had an incredible, actually, the first... I think that there's a guy, I've forgotten his name, I'm really annoyed. The guy who kind of has the long hair, he plays for Uruguay, he scored both goals.
Cavani.
Yeah.
Cavani, yes. So...
his first goal was just insane. I think his second goal was insane. But his first goal
the thing is, the first goal was actually a 1-2 between him and Luis Suarez.
I remember.
But it was a 1-2 across the pitch.
It was... I mean, in fact, actually, you know what? I sent that goal to just like someone I know who wasn't watching the World Cup. And I was just like, this is just incredible. But yeah, I think his second goal was also really good. And again...
Yeah, his second goal was a lovely finish into the bottom corner. He opened his body out, tucks it away.
Yes.
The thing is with... Actually, the first goal, Cavani and Suarez, they actually scored a goal very similar to that against England in the 2014 World Cup. I think it was Suarez, though, who was on the end of it and scored the header. But in this World Cup, the thing is, Uruguay, they were kind of a dark horse before the tournament. Probably like the 9th or 10th best team in it. And that's because of Cavani and Suarez. 2 world-class strikers. With them in your team, you've always got a chance. And this is why. This game, like, Cavani and Suarez was a great ball. It was Cavani with a fantastic header and a great finish to make it 2-1. He was injured after this game, actually. He came off injured and so couldn't participate in the quarterfinals against France. And who knows if he did, play against France? Could have been
I
different.
agree.
We could have seen Uruguay advance. So that's an underrated thing, I think, to talk about this World Cup. Cavani, who, injured, could have been big for Uruguay.
So two really good games. Ironically, the 2 really good games that stopped Messi and Ronaldo from seeing each other.
Yes.
So and then we went on to what I call the day of bad refereeing. Well, maybe not bad refereeing. So Spain v Russia, of course, 1-1, and then Spain denied what I think was quite definitely a penalty. I think. And then Russia won on penalties. 4-3. And
so Spain just passed it around for ages. You remember?
Yes, I was.
They didn't penetrate
I was a bit unhappy with. Yeah. Spain ain't what it used to be.
No, that's the thing. Like it's tiki-taka, but it's been bastardized. It's like that's not what tiki-taka is about. It's not just passing the ball between 3 central midfielders. It's like getting it into spaces. Finding the person who's in space and passing it to him, and then that person then passes it to another person in space. Quick forward passing, and that has an end product. This wasn't what
it was inactive tiki-taka instead of proactive tiki-taka.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it could be the end now of tiki-taka because they weren't successful in the last 3 tournaments, and maybe they just haven't got good enough players Spain anymore to perform like that. Iniesta's like 34 now. David Silva's about 30. Like maybe it's time to pack it in and just go like defensive and counter-attack like all the teams like France are doing.
Anyway, and then next, so this wasn't necessarily bad refereeing, like you say. There is a logic to it, but the Croatia Denmark again 1-1.
Well, it's bad rules.
Yeah, bad rules.
Bad laws.
So Denmark, Croatia. Modric should have scored. Denmark, I found him, missed the penalty, and then Croatia in the end won anyway. 3-2 on penalties. Mm-hmm. And again, not particularly interesting. And then Brazil versus Mexico. Brazil won 2-0.
Comfortable.
Yeah. I don't think it was especially interesting. And then this one was quite interesting actually. Belgium Japan. Japan went 2-0 up with two really good goals.
Oh, they were, especially the second one. It was a fucking amazing strike. And that right there was like, oh my god, Japan have just shocked the world.
Yes.
Beating Belgium 2-0 because nobody expected it. Like when they go 1-0, it's like, okay, like Belgium can still come back, but then it's 2-0. All of a sudden it's like, wow, Japan can go through. Credit to Belgium for coming back and scoring 3, especially that counter-attacking goal.
Yes, so that was a really good match. So not too bad as far as really good matches go. And then Sweden v Switzerland.
1-0.
I don't know that I have any memories from it.
Do you remember the goal? It was a deflection. It was Forsberg hit it on the edge of the box, hit one of the Swiss defenders and deflected into the top corner. It wasn't a great game, as you can imagine. So typical. It was a victory that Sweden played, but Sweden were very well coached, and a 1-0 victory against Switzerland isn't the flashiest of results, but they got themselves into the quarterfinals. And that's what it's all about. These countries.
Sweden hasn't, because Sweden has, I think, a notoriously hard kind of defense to break, and that
they're
is
very well organized
because of their limitations as a team.
Yeah, they have to play like that to be successful. So unlike France,
like France, and then Colombia, England. The funny thing is, I don't actually remember either of the goals. It was 1-1.
Yeah, I remember the Kane penalty.
Oh, was it a penalty? I can't even remember.
Okay, so this game was.
I'm gonna look it up. Just happening.
So stressful to watch. So England somehow take the lead, even though they weren't that good. It was a penalty, which actually was a penalty, even though the Colombians complained and Maradona said it was actually Kane's fault or whatever. And then so they're winning 1-0.
Is it another example of? Actually, we didn't mention this, by the way. There was one. I can't remember which match it was, but there was one where Kane. It was in the group stages. Was literally it was against Panama or Tunisia. Literally, kind of pushed down to the ground, tackled, pretty much rugby tackled.
Yeah, Tunisia, and it wasn't given. Yeah.
Oh goodness me! I'm watching the penalty now, refreshing my memory, and that was obviously a penalty, and down the middle.
Yerry Mina scored a 93rd minute header to equalise, which was just so frustrating. The ball just bounced right above Kieran Trippier's head. Poor marking. The thing is, England were very good from set pieces in this tournament, but they weren't very good at defending them. That's what I noticed. Yeah. It all crosses in general. Yerry Mina scored, and then we went to penalties, and England actually won a penalty shootout in the World Cup. Oh my god. Jordan Henderson missed, of course, the Liverpool player, choked, unsurprisingly. But thank God, Marcus Rashford and Tottenham players were there to save the day. Incredible. I've never been happier after a win for England, even though it was just the round of 16. Just the relief when we won the penalty shootout was incredible. Then that's when the "it's coming home" thing didn't become a joke and started to become something that, maybe because we're playing Switzerland. It was still kind of a joke, 75%, 25% a joke. Still the majority of it was a joke, but we had our hopes up. By the way, the Colombians in this game were just absolutely shocking. I've seen a lot of dirty teams, but they fucking took the cake. They were so dirty. They were a bunch of cunts. And the fact that their fans welcomed them back cheering when they got back to Bogota, or how you say it. Was
buggers, aren't they? That's why they went to Bogota.
Just disgraceful. How can you applaud your team after that?
Yeah.
That was a horrible performance from Colombia, and that just goes to show, they've got no shame. The scuffing the penalty spot before Kane takes it. Who the fuck does that? What a cuntish thing to do.
I know.
I've never seen that before, in all my years of watching football. And John Stone said they were the dirtiest team he ever played against, and I agree. The dirtiest team I've ever seen England play against as well.
Yeah, I agree. And
England went great. There was a bit of play acting from Henderson and maybe a dive from Harry Maguire, but people after the match said, well, how can England complain when they did that against Colombia? They're just as bad. But now, Colombia are a whole different level.
Yes.
It's false equivalency. Saying Hillary Clinton's corruption is the same as Donald Trump. That kind of bullshit.
Yes.
Colombia were in a different universe when it comes to being a cunt and shithouser in that game. So that's my Colombia run.
Good. You dealt with it all. Okay, so next one, Uruguay versus France. 0-2, as they say.
Yep, solid win for the French, a set piece and a mistake from the goalkeeper. Again,
we love a good mistake from the goalkeeper.
France fucking bullshitting their way through to the semis.
Yeah. But, I was kind of happy. Oh,
what a waste.
You know what's just about to happen, Luke? Belgium played Brazil, 1-2-0. And you know what this means, Luke? It means that Europe has officially won the World Cup with 6 teams left to play.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, so, interestingly, there hasn't been a South American team to win the World Cup since 2002.
Yeah.
Think about that. So, when the World Cup comes to Qatar in 2022, it'll be 20 years since a non-European team have won the World Cup. And to be honest, I do like the fact that the South Americans are good, because I don't like Europe dominating. I do like different, like if North America and Asia could get good at world football or international football, then I'd be very pleased with that. Because I like to see different confederations doing well, because it just makes it more entertaining. But like Brazil, it's just disappointing from all the South American teams, and I don't know why the Europeans are doing so well recently. Maybe it's a trend, or maybe it's just something that is random. But yeah, well, it's something to watch for in 2022, because if there is no good South American team, there's no South American team that reaches the final, or possibly even the semi-final, in 2022, then that certainly will become a talking point, I think.
Yes, and next we have, it came home with Sweden versus England, England winning 2-0.
This was such a weird game as well, because it was comfortable. Like, we were easily the better team than Sweden. They hardly troubled us, apart from like a great save from Jordan Pickford. But that was it, really. Like, 2-0 win.
Set pieces.
Quite comfortable. And, yeah, set pieces.
Oh, can we talk about,
great cross
can we
from
talk about
Lingard.
Sterling? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we should. It's a good time.
Because he did, I think he buggered up twice.
Okay, so, yeah. I guess this is a good game to talk about Raheem Sterling, because this was one of his best performances against Sweden. And it's like the thing with Sterling is he does bugger up, like you said.
He can't finish, yeah.
He missed that chance. And one of the chances was offside, so it wouldn't count anyway, but he still should have scored. However, he did have a great game. He ran into channels, he held up the ball well, he got involved with the midfielders, and he was a nightmare to play against if you were Swedish on that day. And the thing is, okay, so I think he had I'm going to say a 7 out of 10 performance, Sterling. Like, I honestly think he was around that. If you look at, so the BBC this World Cup, Michael, they did like a player rating thing when you could go online and rate how you think the England player. Did you hear about Sterling as well?
I'm going to guess. I didn't hear about this. I'm going to guess he got really low.
I didn't check the Croatian game, but in all 5 matches that he played in, or did he play against Belgium? In all 4 matches then, because I'm not sure he played against Belgium, but definitely in the 4 matches that he played in, he got bottom. He was the worst rated England player.
The thing is, Luke, it's idiots who. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, Luke, but there was this guy called Kobe, and he's been encouraging people to jack in the 3-pointers instead of working on their post game.
No, it's not Steph Curry.
I can't.
Kobe would not encourage that at all.
Well, you know what, Luke, to be honest, I'm just trying to inaccurately repeat what you said to me. So, okay, yeah. So I feel like it's kind of similar, because it's sort of, well, I guess, see, the problem is, okay, there's 2 attitudes to it. The first is, obviously, you say, well, it's all about, setting up chances, like putting the other team under pressure is an important part of winning. Because even though luck is an element, you can't just be like, well, just shoot and score every time, and that's what makes you a good player. Having said that, also, one of the things I guess I mentioned is that one of the big problems this World Cup was teams not capitalising on dominating. So I think there's probably like a happy medium. You need players who will put a team under pressure and, not get too concerned if they don't score. But there is obviously a point at which it's like, well, you could have a team under pressure for ages and yet they don't break, and then, I think the good thing about him is he broke down the defence, even though he missed. So his problem was against basically the goalie.
He can't finish.
I guess they need someone else like that to finish, as long as he passes.
Yeah. So Sterling, why do the British public not like him? Why does he get rated so low by all the British, or sorry, the English fans, I should say? Why do England fans pick on him so much? And I think his race is something that can't be ignored.
Yeah, I mean, is there any player who's the weird thing is there aren't that many black players for the England football team. Like there aren't that many. Sorry, what I mean is there aren't that many dark black players.
I guess so.
Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So there's this. Yeah, doesn't play that much though. The thing is there's a whole another conversation with dark players in England. But, what Tottenham chant for Harry Kane?
No.
Tottenham's chant for Harry Kane is he's one of our own. And obviously it's a reference to the fact that he grew up in the North London area, came through Tottenham's academy. I just have a really hard time picturing that if Harry Kane was black and was called a
Jamal.
I'm trying to think of a name. No, yeah, Jamal, and then Afobe.
Yeah, Afobe.
Like something like that. Jamal Afobe, which is like a black English name. Yeah, the Spurs fans would not chant he's one of our own. I just can't imagine it happening. And obviously, Spurs fans, you extrapolate that to the whole of England. When Kane and Sterling play, like England fans, they like Kane because he doesn't have tattoos and he's, just a proper footballer.
He does seem a bit like Captain America.
Yeah, exactly. Just that kind of person. And then there's Sterling, who's got tattoos and he's black, and he's like maybe not that. He makes mistakes sometimes that make fans think he's stupid, and there's the connotations of black football player not being that intelligent. So yeah, there's a lot going on there with the Sterling hates, certainly compared to Harry Kane. And what I did with Dylan, because Dylan doesn't like Sterling, mainly because he plays for Man City, but also because he bought into the narrative around 2015 when Sterling moved to Man City from Liverpool that he's greedy, and obviously that goes in with the the cocky black footballer image who gets tattoos. He's greedy as well. He's all about the money and all that. Doesn't really care for his country, all that fucking shit. And so basically, I was proved to Dylan like how hated Sterling was by going through on Twitter. If you can do this now, probably, Michael. You can type in Sterling and pub into the Twitter search bar, and you can see like a load of tweets. I must have counted like 50 of people saying, "I'm in a pub," and the largest cheer was when Sterling got subbed off, or "I'm in a pub," and they all, when the players were announced before the game, everyone like applauded all the players, and then when Sterling was there, they booed him. And like every time Sterling gets the ball, there's abuse that people hurl at him, and it's like this guy is picked on it's so over the top. He has some flaws in his game, but he's a really good player. He was one of England's best players in that Sweden game, and the fact that he got worst rated on the BBC player ratings, and you can just look through Twitter and see all the people who booed Sterling at the pub, and up and down the country. It's a real shame that there's still a problem when it comes to race with the England football team. I wish he'd scored in the final or the semi-final. If he'd got to the final, obviously, but I wish he'd scored in the semi-final. Harry Kane could have passed to Sterling, remember, when he missed that chance, and it could have been 2-0. Sterling could have scored. I would have liked that. But for the reasons that England would have got through to the final probably, and Sterling would have made all those people, shut up. But it wasn't meant to be. So yeah, what do you think about Sterling?
Yeah, I'm reading some of these Twitter comments, but not actually. To be honest, I haven't found. There's obviously not as many nowadays because.
Oh yeah, well it was on the 7th of July, which I went through
right.
that. So obviously this is like 2 weeks later. So yeah. Like may not be up there, but I was reading them out to Dylan like about 40 in a row. Just everyone's booing Sterling at the pub.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a problem, and I hope Sterling does well in an England shirt and he doesn't get criticised as much because it's so over the top. Like he can improve in some areas. There was definitely the finishing aspect. He can definitely improve there, but he's good enough to start for England. And he was very, very good in that Sweden game, apart from his finishing. So that's it then. I think for Sweden.
Yes,
England.
yeah. So yeah, I agree. I think you've been. There's nothing else I would need to add. And then we move on to Russia versus Croatia. So really kind of quite entertaining match. We've already spoke about it quite a bit. I think every goal was quite fun, and there was a really one that hit the post and it went off, and that was quite exciting.
Yeah.
So
Croatia deserved to get through, and they did. Won a goal from Cherry.
As we know in the semi-finals, we wanted France to beat Belgium so that I could watch Belgium play while I was in Bruges, and they did. I don't know.
1-0.
Exactly. Wasn't that interesting? Sorry.
On TT from a fucking set piece, and then France wasted time and rolled around on the floor and just fucking bullshit their way through. Yeah, again. See, there's a theme with France here.
Fucking France.
They're so frustrating. That's the thing with France. I don't want them to do badly. If they won the World Cup playing the football that they were capable of playing, I would have absolutely loved them. The fact that they fucking were successful while playing like Leicester, it just pisses me off. They should be better than that. And yeah, that France-Belgium game just encapsulated why I wasn't a fan of this French league this World Cup.
Anyway, now
Whatever.
the important match. Croatia 2, England 1. So, first of all, really good goal from a set piece.
Trippier.
Yeah.
The thing is, I was really confident when he stepped up that he was going to score.
You know what I actually said? I said this is in.
Angle.
I mean, this is in when they did it.
Yeah. It was, thing is, Michael, I know a couple of things about taking free kicks. I'm actually quite good at them, and my housemate can attest to that, because I scored a lovely goal for Halifax this year. It was a free kick from about 30 yards out, or maybe not, but 25 yards out, and I bent it right into the top corner. You know, just a little brag there.
Yeah, I got you.
And it was a wonderful strike. I was just like, you know what, Trippier free kick. I was like, I think he can do this. Like, I don't think it's a really nice angle for him.
Yeah.
Because he likes to curl them. So yeah, I was confident he got it in, and wonderful free kick, and it seemed like we were going to the final.
I mean, let's talk about so first of all, obviously we didn't capitalise on our domination. This is where this all comes into play. Harry Kane is useless. Didn't score. So he's rubbish, and he should be kicked out of England. He's not.
No, that's Sterling you're thinking of.
And then like we reached a point like there was kind of like a turning point where suddenly we were on the back foot, and it was like, you know, there was one where it went right off the post, and I just remember thinking like it went from like we went from kind of like frustration over not being able to, you know, consolidate the victory with another goal to fear, because it was like, oh wait, they're actually pushing against us really, really hard, and then obviously it got to extra time, and it was kind of like I was literally thinking about it, like we want penalties now, because like they're actually playing better than us.
That's
and
what I was
wanted
thinking.
Penalties, and then pretty good goal from Mandzukic. I can't pronounce the names.
Mandzukic.
Really, really good goal from him.
Mandzukic's actually quite a good striker. He's underrated. He scored at a Champions League final twice, and obviously in the World Cup semi-final. Decent striker, very decent. John Stones fell asleep with that. The Perisic one, it was just a really good cross and shot. The thing is, before the Perisic goal, it was clear that England were getting stretched a lot, and I wanted Southgate to sub Dele Alli off and put Delph on. I literally said this to Dylan right before the cross from Vasalko. It was on the right wing, who crossed it into Perisic, who scored. I said to Dylan, I want Dele Alli to come off and want Delph to come on, because he can like close down crosses like this. And as I said, crosses like that. Then the cross came in, and Perisic scored. So I was one step ahead of Southgate. I think like Southgate had a really good tournament, obviously built a great culture with England. But then in that match and in another match, I can't remember where, but I was like, he should have made different substitutions. Like that right there, he should have recognised that he needed to take like Dele Alli off and put Delph on. Because Dele Alli he's an attacking midfielder who was being asked to defend. Why not put Delph on, who is a defensive midfielder who's got more energy? Like, it's just, we're 1-0 up, you know. Let's hold on to the lead for half an hour to go. So yeah, that was disappointing.
Yes.
But yeah, what can you do?
And finally, kind of finally, I mean, you've spoken a lot about the France-Croatia thing, so we're not going to talk about that again. But so, and ultimately, Belgium beat England 2-0, and I watched it in a Belgian pub, and it was, so I've already said this, and you've kind of already said like the obvious point, but again, this is more evidence that, like, I do think it mattered that England won this match in a way, because if England would have won this match, it would have been like, okay, England can beat a good team. So as much as like I don't want to take away from how it is actually good, like fourth place, the fact that we did go, like when you kind of name, you go like France first place, Croatia second place, Belgium third place, England fourth place. It's exciting to even hear England mentioned there, but as much as I don't want to like take away from like the actual significance of it in terms of thinking about like England in the future, and kind of like in terms of actually feeling elated about England in a kind of like more transcendental sense, like is that actually how they are as a team? It mattered that England won this, because that would have proven, or it mattered that England would win this, because they were like, okay, so this isn't just that we had a really easy run, we are actually good. The problem is, Luke, obviously we lost 2-0, so quite disappointing in terms of like, is England a good team? Like, yeah, like I say, I was still excited that we did as well as we did, and I'm sure like there are a lot of other teams that, like, you know, I'm sure maybe for example Croatia would have lost against Belgium on any given day.
Yeah, I just want to say about this game, I think obviously England conceded early on, and we looked a bit rattled. We got into the game, and we were actually the better team in the second half. We could have scored. I think there's Eric Dyer who chipped the keeper, Courtois, and it was cleared off the line. Could have been 1-1. I think, to be honest, we were unlucky. The scoreline 2-0 didn't actually reflect how competitive we were with Belgium. And obviously then Hazard scored on the counter-attack, which Belgium looked so dangerous on the counter with Lukaku, Hazard and De Bruyne. So yeah, Belgium won 2-0, comfortable for them. But yeah, in the end, I think England gave a good performance, and we've shown that.
Yeah, I hope
we
we'll
can.
build on.
The thing is, like in previous tournaments, although we didn't beat an easy team, we didn't beat a good team in this tournament really. In previous tournaments, we struggled against the so-called easy teams, like against Algeria in 2010 or Costa Rica in 2014.
Yeah.
In 2006, we beat fucking Ecuador 1-0 in the round of 16. Like, we struggled against the teams that we should have beaten, like the so-called non-good teams. So this World Cup, we dispatched Sweden 2-0. We beat Tunisia, like one of those not very good but also respectable teams, 2-1. So it's better, even though we didn't beat a good team, it's still better than the World Cups we've had in the past, where we couldn't get past those teams. So that's a positive.
I do agree. Final, I just want to say one thing about the fight. So obviously France won 4-2. The only thing I wanted to say about this that we haven't already said is that the one thing that I haven't mentioned is it sucks that France won, because before now France and England had won an equal number of World Cups. As of now,
that puts them
France
on
has
ahead.
won more World Cups than us, and that is kind of annoying because it means that we're now further down the list of, and it's France, our enemies. So yeah, it was very disappointing that France lost, and of course, they arguably lost because of terrible decisions made through VAR. So
VAR. So that's a good segue. VAR, Video Assistant Referee. So before the World Cup, I did not want when I heard that VAR was going to be in the World Cup, I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad, because I'd only seen it in the Premier League, not the Premier League, in English football, in the League Cup and the FA Cup, and it was not that great in those two competitions. There was a lot of problems with it, and obviously I was like, oh god, if this happens in the biggest stage, like, for example, in the final, there's a goal given that changes the course of the game, that, VAR helps to give, then that's going to be a problem, and I was really scared about its implementation. However, having obviously experienced this World Cup with VAR, I can say that it was a success. There were some issues, but overall I was like, you know what, I'm very glad it was in it, because it reversed some wrong decisions. For example, we talked about the Aspas offside, which was actually onside, the penalty that was given to Neymar and then taken away once the referee looked at VAR. There's numerous, the penalties that England got against Panama when the Panama players were rugby tackling Harry Kane to the floor. Like, that right there might not have been given if it hadn't been for VAR. These kind of things made the games better. And obviously, I think VAR was a success. It, made things fairer. And although, decisions sometimes took 2 minutes, I don't mind that.
I agree.
Considering how much time is wasted in a football game. Like the amount of throw-ins and corners and minutes that pile up. Just an extra 2 minutes to make sure you get a crucial decision right. I'm fine with that. Actually, listening to some Americans on Twitter, who I follow because of basketball and American football, they were saying how great VAR was, how it was so quick and seamless. They were really impressed with it compared to how it works in their sports. So I think we should give the VAR the thumbs up. And the only decision which I think they got wrong when they gave a penalty when it shouldn't have been a penalty was the handball against Portugal, where Iran got the penalty. That right there was completely the wrong decision, and everything else I think was acceptable. Even the penalty in the World Cup final, which I think was a penalty because Perisic moved his hand down towards the ball and spread his hand out. And obviously you can never tell if something's deliberate or not, but the fact that his hand moved towards the ball and spread out, clearly, I think he was subconsciously or maybe consciously trying to block the ball from getting past him. And I believe if the ball had gone past him, it would have gone to one of the French players at the back post and would have scored. So I believe that penalty was the correct decision. And even though Alan Shearer says there's no way it was a penalty, which I was shocked at half time, or maybe not because he just hates VAR and he wants to criticise it whenever. Okay, this is another topic. The criticism of VAR, some of it is just stupid. But yeah, what are your thoughts on VAR?
I really enjoy VAR. I really enjoyed VAR as a thing. I think most of the kind of essential criticisms of it, like people saying, it's ruining the game because, like, there are some people who have said, I mean, people have been saying this since goal line technology was introduced. They've been saying, like, part of the game is the referee making mistakes.
Well, why not change
exactly. That? It's like tradition. All tradition is wrong.
Yes. Like, there's a Spanish football journalist called Guillem Balagu, or something like that. He's known as a fraud in the football Twitter community. But basically, he said, I'm against VAR because... I'm not going to do the accent. I'm against VAR because, life is about mistakes, and you'll see mistakes on the football pitch, and all of that fucking bullshit. So, now, if we can get the decision right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, we have the technology to make sure that there isn't any mistakes, and we can make sure that if a team does deserve a penalty, they can get a penalty. If a goal is offside, is actually onside, we can give it. Like, surely that's what we want. Like, if we have the ability to do it, let's fucking do it. It makes it fairer.
Yes, it is. It's so silly. Yeah. It's like it kind of reminds me. Okay, this is completely unrelated in a way, but it kind of reminds me of like voting systems, where like whenever we have like electoral reform, everyone's like, no, we can't change the electoral reform because then like it's about that's just part of it. It's part of the thing that someone can not win a majority of the votes but have a majority of the power. So.
It's why, Michael, I'm not a conservative with a small c. It's because it's a case of, well, okay, I get if you want to conserve traditions, if these traditions make sense. But, like, if we, if you can improve on something, then why not do it and make things better? Like, I just don't get the mindset of let's just stay as we are. Or let's improve stuff. Let's try and make things as good as they can be. Because otherwise, it's just an arbitrary point where you've stopped making progress.
Yes, but yeah, I agree. I agree with your logic, and I think we need to make it more. Basically, I think like the rules of football set up the parameters for how football should be played, and it kind of like doesn't really add anything to have an extra dimension in there where it's like, and also the ref might get things wrong.
Yes.
And
can I just say though with the pundits, I'm going to go a bit on a rant about the pundits here. You mentioned the France-Australia penalty earlier with Griezmann, which was a penalty, and some of the pundits, Mark Lawrence, were like, I don't know how that's a penalty. And even in the Portugal-Iran game where Ronaldo got a penalty, which clearly was a penalty, the Iranian player just completely took him out, and obviously Ronaldo missed the penalty, but it definitely was a penalty, and VAR helps the ref give it. That right there is a situation where it's an obvious penalty, VAR gives it, and Mark Lawrence was going, no, not a penalty. And it's so frustrating, Michael, when these people are paid so much money to commentate on football, and they just generally act like what they're seeing in front of them is completely different to what we're seeing. And that was a case of just sometimes the commentators and the pundits just getting decisions wrong, which are easy not to get wrong. Then there's the criticism of VAR from pundits, and particularly Alan Shearer. He was the one harping on about VAR. And a lot of other reactionary people on Twitter. And they're all over 40 years old, that kind of demographic. And it's a case of they just want an ability to bash VAR whenever. I don't know what they've got against it. For example, they can bash VAR for not getting involved enough sometimes. And why didn't they go to VAR then? Or why didn't they go to VAR then? And then sometimes they bash VAR for getting too involved. It's like, there's no way that should have gone to VAR. VAR's awful. And then they use this phrase when talking about VAR, which really annoys me. It's like when VAR gives the penalty. It's the referee still gives the penalty. He's just using VAR. Referees can still make bad mistakes even with technology. They act like it's the actual technology who's making these decisions. When, as you know, the referee always goes over to the mini screen over on the side of the pitch to have a look at the situation. So he ultimately still decides on the penalty. It's not like the technology or the system itself is giving the penalty. It's just the ref who gets to look at more angles. So I think particularly how the pundits treated VAR was quite depressing in this tournament. Particularly Alan Shearer. It's just and there was also, I'll never forget this. There was Rio Ferdinand on the Argentina-Nigeria game. He was one of the pundits. And so there was this incident where Marcos Rojo headed the ball against his own arm. Now, The referee did not give a penalty for that, and I believe that was the right decision because obviously it wasn't deliberate. You do remember it, right?
I see. The thing is, I've seen lots of games where players head balls against the right arm.
Obviously, blue, white, and light blue against the Nigerian like dark green kit. Maybe that.
Okay, yeah, I can remember it.
And he heads the ball against his arm. It's not a handball because it's not deliberate. He didn't move his hand towards the ball because obviously it like he headed it onto his arm, and it didn't give his team an advantage. Like it didn't stop the Nigerians from scoring or whatever, or being in a goal scoring position. Yet Rio Ferdinand said, "I think that's a penalty" after the game, and then when Gary Lineker pressed him on it, saying, "Well, it's not deliberate. He didn't move his hand towards the ball." And then Rio Ferdinand goes, "Well, I've seen them given."
That's what they always say.
Well, no, that's the fucking shittiest cop out ever. It's like, no, like just because you've seen them given doesn't mean it's a penalty. Those aren't two things. Those aren't there. Those two aren't the same thing. There is a difference between you've seen them given and is it a penalty. Like just because something has been given before doesn't mean it was the correct decision. And just when it came to penalties and VAR and decisions, like I'm just so disappointed. Phil Neville, I haven't mentioned him. He was another fucking culprit of this at the World Cup. He's a shit pundit anyway, but especially.
Oh, sorry, I just want to say this. So what we noticed is that Phil Neville sounds like an excited child when he's commentating.
He's always whispering.
Yeah, like he's like, "Oh, they're gonna score," and we were laughing at it every time he was commentating.
Like Phil, I don't know what Well, obviously his brother's Gary Neville. But apart from that, I don't know what connections Phil Neville has with the BBC, because he's truly awful. Like, he is genuinely awful when it comes to punditry. He actually was the assistant manager for Man United between 2013 and 14. And looking back, having listened to him be a pundit, looking back, I realised why we were so shit that year. Because if he was the number 2 man, and David Moyes decided to hire him, and some of the things David Moyes has said since then have been really fucking stupid as well. But I can now understand, listening to Phil Neville, why we were so shit that year. I can't believe that guy was allowed to be the assistant manager of Man United. You think these people know what they're doing, and then you hear them speak, and you're like, wow, the only reason you got this job is because you were an ex-professional footballer. That's the only reason. So yeah, that's my rant on pundits, which I think was triggered really by the fact that a lot of them did not want to understand VAR and just said, reactionary, mindless stuff about it because, they didn't really think about it too much. And so, yeah, got anything to say about that?
I have pretty much just one thing, which is, first of all, I agree with everything you pretty much just said. I think it is, it's just a case of sticks in the mud. And yeah, that's why I'm not a small C conservative either.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, the thing is, okay, so I think I maybe disagreed with, I can't remember every single one, but I feel like I disagreed with probably, say, a handful of VAR decisions, but compare that to, because the things like people are basically saying, oh, it's not perfect. I disagree with these decisions, but it's like, but compare it to the number of times that for example, the argument with goal line technology is that time when literally, obviously the England game, the ref said no goal, then it shows the replay, everyone sees it, including the ref, on the big screen, go into the goal, but the ref can't do anything about it. And that's kind of the thing. That's what happens when you don't have this technology. So,
that's a great point, by the way, Michael, you made. How, okay, it's not perfect, but it still gets more decisions right. Surely we should have it then, if that's the case. You disagree with that decision, I disagree with the Iran decision to give Iran a penalty. But that doesn't mean I think VAR should be abolished or shouldn't be in the game. The ref, even so, it was the ref who still gave the penalty. The ref still looked at that and decided it was a penalty. He's got the final call and he still thought it was a penalty.
Yeah.
So right there, I'm like, okay, it's not even
VAR's that's the weird thing. Yeah, it's not like there's not an extra official. There's literally just someone saying, hey ref, do you want to have another look at this?
Yeah. The VAR criticism in this World Cup by certain pundits was just stupid, and the thing is, it's not in the Premier League this upcoming season, and I think I'm going to miss it.
Yeah.
Because it's now I'm expecting decisions to be right, and there's going to be decisions every week in the match of the day. I don't know if you watch match of the day a lot. Yeah. But every week in the match of the day, there's a penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty, and an offside decision which was incorrect, 3 times a show. And all of that would, no, maybe not all of it, but a lot of it would go away if they just added VAR.
Yeah,
a lot of it would just go away, and they wouldn't. Maybe that's why the pundits
because they
don't
like
like VAR.
that. You know what, Luke?
Because they like the controversy.
I honestly think you might actually be onto something. Because part of their job.
Well, I didn't come up with that.
Okay.
Other people have said it before.
You could have pretended, Luke. But yeah, that's actually a really legitimate point, because yeah, they get like part of their job. A huge part of their job is like, because for example, my dad, whenever there's a decision he disagrees with, like he doesn't usually watch the analysis. Like we don't usually watch the analysis, but if there's a decision he disagrees with, he's like he wants to see what the commentators had to say about it, because he wants to feel validated in a way. But like obviously, the more like obviously correct decisions there are, because it's all being kind of reviewed and stuff like that, the fewer of those things there's going to be, and that's kind of I genuinely think that's probably true.
I'm just wondering, like some of these pundits who maybe have to actually do research when it comes to football game, they can't just rely on saying, is that a penalty or is that a penalty, and then they can just sit back in their chair and think, yeah, I think that's a penalty. I've seen him given, we touches him, he's got every right to go down, it's a penalty, and get paid like 50,000 for that. Like, maybe they actually have to do some research on it. I don't know. Maybe VAR will not solve this issue, because then the debate will still be, well, should a VAR been used there? Or, like, for example, the handball with Croatia in the World Cup, like, Alan Shearer said, there's no way that's a penalty. Even though I can't, like, okay, I can understand saying it's not a penalty, but saying it's no way that's a penalty, that's, like, just completely ridiculous, because it's very obvious it could be a penalty. And obviously, some people could disagree it was a penalty, and it was still given, so there's a controversy, there's a talking point there. But I think, maybe that still happens with VAR, but hopefully it does go away, and people and pundits can talk more about football.
Yeah, I think that wraps up VAR. And
that's what it's for. That's what it's for. It's to make
wrap things up
fairer. Yeah, but to wrap things up, to not have controversies, and that's what it's all about.
Yes.
Next up, Michael, just one last thing actually before we go. Qatar 2022. Spend like 2 minutes on this.
Yes. We were going to talk about why is football so popular, but I don't think we're going to be able to. I think that's just, I think we're pushing it. No, there's no way. That would be a big discussion. Yeah. And so we'll talk about Qatar 2022.
So migrant deaths.
Cheery.
That's the first thing. That's the major thing. The fact that it's going to be hosted in winter. The fact that it's going to be hosted in a country with no footballing history and a national team who aren't good at all. I don't know what they're ranked, probably like 140th.
No, have they ever been in a World Cup? So they're going to be debuts. I think honestly that should be like an official rule. Like an official rule should be, in order to host the World Cup, you have to have qualified like at least once.
Well, it should be, but there's also a lot of things that FIFA should do, which they don't. So then it's going to be hosted in the winter, not in the summer. So that's going to fuck with the scheduling. And I don't know, it'd be weird to watch a World Cup in the winter. I'm not against it necessarily, but it's going to like screw the world.
Here's the thing though, Luke. In a way, it makes sense, because like there's a way in which it makes a lot of
more viewing.
Here's what I'm thinking. Like, the winter is cold. You just want to stay inside and be lazy, and like. Well, that's why I said the viewing, because people stay inside. So I guess it makes sense from that perspective, but. The World Cup's always in summer, and then you'd have to shift a lot of stuff around. So, it's just not that good. I guess, like, obviously, in the Southern Hemisphere, like, obviously it has been. I don't know if it's ever been.
In the winter?
Yeah. But, like, so technically.
For South Africa, that was
exactly. There we go. So, first time in the Northern Hemisphere it's been hosted in the winter.
Even, like, the UAE have made a World Cup before. But not Qatar, though. There's also the case of there being 48 teams instead of 32, and it's not confirmed. But if it is 48, it'll just make the World Cup even shitter, because, see, me and Dylan discussed this. Obviously, there will be 48 teams in the World Cup in 2026, which will, in my opinion, ruin at least the group stages, because what you're going to have then is a lot of teams who aren't that good in the tournament. Like, I don't think you need any more teams.
And so much football.
There's there's only going to be 16 more games.
Okay.
So the increase is
that's an increase of 25%.
Yeah, I guess so. But there's still, like, in this World Cup and in every World Cup, there's still like 5 or 6 teams who just aren't that good, like Panama and Saudi Arabia. And then you're going to add even the teams that didn't qualify for these confederations, like, who are worse than Saudi Arabia. Like, you're going to get some really bad teams in the World Cup. And then you're going to have 16 groups of 3. That's how they're going to do it. And obviously, in these 16 groups of 3, what you could have is, there's a great New York Times article about this. You could have collusion between 2 of the teams, because obviously one of the teams won't be playing when the last 2 teams play their game, because there's an odd number. So what you could have is 2 teams conspiring to get the correct result, so both of them go through and another team goes out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a real possibility of that. There's a New York Times article, like I said, about how 16 groups of 3 teams is a really bad idea. And that's why if they do go to a 48-team World Cup, I would like to see 8 groups of 6. If they have to do it like that, I prefer if they just stuck at 32.
What about 5 groups of... That doesn't work.
5. No, yeah. So yeah, 8 groups of 6, that's what I'd prefer. But yeah, that may be the case in 2022. They may go to 48. They may stick at 32. They haven't decided yet. But certainly, based on the fact that this World Cup obviously has the migrant deaths hanging over it, just no footballing culture, and also the fact that you can't drink alcohol and homosexuality is banned. It's that kind of country, oppressive fundamentalist country. Yeah, it's not going to be a good World Cup.
Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like I've already said this. I might have already said it to you.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, you'd think, because Qatar is a tiny place,
yes,
you'd think they would do at least all of the Gulf states. Like Kuwait,
like have it
Qatar,
in
Bahrain, UAE, maybe even like Oman, have a game in Muscat. Have a bit of Muscat.
What would it be, like the Gulf 2022?
Yeah, I could get behind that, but it's so weird. It's like...
It is so weird. It's so strange.
It's like nothing about it makes sense of this in Qatar. Like, there are so many countries that would...
Well, it makes sense because of fucking corruption.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it makes sense. But yeah. I mean, it's like the fact that it's going to be in Qatar, and we've listed all the reasons why that will be bad. And the fact that in 2026, although I do like North America as a host, or a set of host countries, I do like that idea. I think it'll be a fun World Cup. 48 teams is going to ruin it. It's certainly the group stage. I think this Russia 2018 is going to be the last good World Cup, like where you have 32 teams and it's in the summer, and obviously we had a fantastic set of games here as well. This could be the last actual good World Cup we have. For a long, long time. We'll see. But yeah. It's a good thing we're selecting and reflecting on it, Michael, because this may be the only thing we've got to hang on to.
Euros could be good.
They were in the Euros as well against 24 teams. 16 teams was perfect for the Euros.
That's true, yeah.
Like 24, like Portugal fucking won the Euros even though they finished third in their group.
I get you.
They didn't win a group stage game and they managed to win the Euros. What is that all about? What is that all about?
You're right. Although, you know what? Okay, so for the Euros, we should not do our select and reflect at the end. We need to plan it better because then we won't be talking for 4 hours.
Yeah.
We could just do we'll do the first 2 groups. I don't know, we'll do something it'll be fun. 2 years.
By the way, Michael, I've got an answer for why football is the most popular sport in the world.
Alright, I'm ready.
Because you don't need anything to play with it. You just need a ball. That's it.
There we go, Luke. That's the answer.
You just need a ball. You can kick it against the wall, kick it between 2, jumpers.
Well,
keep you up on your own.
I'm sure there are many more reasons, but I think we'll have to discuss them next time on our Select and Reflect football matches thing, where in 2 years' time, we will be looking at...
I mean, to be honest, that is the reason. I don't think if there's any other...
Well, the thing is, though, so what about stickball? Yeah, let's go play some stickball. Hey.
Oh, with baseball?
Yeah, stickball. Use a stick.
You need a bat then, or a stick.
Go play some stickball.
And the game's not that fun because you're standing around.
Snooker?
What about water polo or polo in general? Why is that?
You just need some sea. 70% in the world sea.
You just need some horse. Some horse. You just need a horse and a double-barreled surname to play polo.
That's good.
That's all you need.
What about ultimate frisbee? Why isn't that so popular?
Oh.
Just
Fucking Holden Frisbee. God, I can just imagine some kids in the favelas like just tossing around like a shitty frisbee. Great stuff.
Anyway,
Anyway.
yeah, okay, that's... Oh, goodness me, I think we've both gone insane. From talking
Yeah.
about I'm so glad we managed to finish this just before the midnight.
Oh yeah, the deadline. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, thank you. Shall I sum it up
you
then?
sum it up.
Yeah. So, thank you for listening to our two-part extensive review of the FIFA World Cup in Russia 2018. Yeah, it's probably one of the best World Cups ever. It's certainly the best World Cup that I've been conscious for. I obviously remember the 2002 World Cup in South Korea, Japan, but obviously I was like 6 years old at the time, so I had no knowledge of what was happening, or I had no context for what was happening, But that could have been a really good tournament as well. But this one I think was right up there and possibly better. So congratulations to France, even though I wish they didn't win the way they played, but whatever. That's how you win in international football. Congratulations to England for a most successful World Cup tournament in 28 years. And yeah, like I said before, this might be the best or the last good World Cup. We'll see. Hopefully it won't be, but it's looking that way. I've been Luke. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
And thank you for listening. Next week we shall be doing, or not next week, in the next few days we'll be doing Mission Impossible. Back to doing movies. So
Mission
thanks
Impossible
for watching.
is much shorter than every single World Cup match.
Yes, definitely. So thanks for watching and goodbye.
Bye.
There we go, Michael. We did it.
I need to go clean my teeth.